Welcome to Mindboost Moments, a podcast for those who want to hear from like-minded people and how they're making a dent in the world. So join me on my continued journey of learning and discovery. This week I spoke to Hannah Carter, Head of Learning and Development at BaxterStorey. We had a fabulous chat about aspiring to deliver phenomenal service and developing people to match those bold ambitions. We spoke about how a team operates in a consultative manner and are trusted partners for their business, but challenge in the right way to create a better and more relevant learning for their business. We also discussed how caring for people and showing empathy really benefits everyone around you. This is Mindboost Moments.
I always tell people that the joy of working at BaxterStorey is its individuality. So no two locations are the same. They're completely bespoke. And that makes it an amazing place to work because it's got freedom and, uniqueness, and it's got this brilliant, unique selling point. But it's what makes designing the learning for approximately 8,500 people a little bit of a challenge because none of it is a one size fits all. So I've really got to think creatively about how we can take the core veins of messaging that we need every location to have, and then how we can make sure that our materials and content and also our facilitators are able to then tweak that to make it relevant to every location, which is, I suppose a bit of the golden bullet really, isn't it? I don't know if we've entirely cracked it yet, but we're working on it.
I think that was... When I reflect back to my career as well, I just think, well, what hat am I wearing today then? Because, there's so many different businesses or way of doing it. You're like, okay, so I like what you've just said, the core vein is similar. I mean, that was going to be my question, actually. So how do you tackle that when, because my experience of BaxterStorey is just aligned with what you're saying, actually. I get such a positive buzz when you go in a different BaxterStorey venue and someone's, whether it's the customer service assistant, head chef, general manager, there's a real positivity and buzz about it because I guess they've got the freedom to be and do what they want within this sort of framework. But I think that seems to be sort of fueling the sort of passion really that I feel as a customer and as a sort of a partner, with you guys. But I guess, how do you overcome that challenge then of everyone wanting to do something slightly differently, but be in a core sort of message?
Yeah, it isn't easy. I mean, I guess the one of the most challenging things was the induction program that we created, because that had to have flexibility in it because each of those locations is so very different. Every single individual that comes into a business will need to learn BaxterStorey stuff, but also there'll be location stuff.
Yeah.
So each client will have different standards, different, different ways of working, different cultures and what have you. So we had to find a way to build that induction program with flexibility. And the way that we've done it pretty much is with building blocks. So there is a core set of content that everybody from a BaxterStorey perspective has to learn. But what they're able to do is to take that induction, and there's a little bit of groundwork to do in the beginning for the location managers, but what they're able to do is to take those building blocks and tweak them so that they almost personalize that induction for their location. Yeah. And that then enables them to pick up all those little bits that are either client related or location related, in the fact that, their building may be laid out differently, their fire exits may be slightly different, their procedures might be slightly different. So that gives them that opportunity to just tweak all those little elements and go from there.
I'm just thinking, do you think that's... I don't want to simplify this in any way, but I'm just thinking, is the core stuff the way and the why you do stuff at BaxterStorey? So there's a uniqueness about BaxterStorey, and if everyone was to say, well, this is a BaxterStorey way, but the nuance in that is site specific, client specific, as long as you're delivering or creating a great experience and a great environment, that's the BaxterStorey way.
It is. I mean, that ultimately sits at the core and the heart of what we want to do. We want to deliver amazing service, but we want everyone to have a brilliant service. The client needs to have, obviously, a brilliant service because they're paying us to do a job. But actually, then every single person that comes in to grab their lunch or comes to an event or goes to, you know, the Christmas lunch or whatever it might be, they need to have that individual experience. And we really work hard on the service side, encourage people to find their way to deliver that service. That, of course, you know, because we're all about fuel your individuality. That's our kind of mission statement and strapline, if you like. That's what we're encouraging people to do, is actually fuel your individuality, be yourself, you know, but that will enable you to deliver a brilliant customer service experience for that person that's coming to grab a sandwich or whatever. So that's, I think, where we've got a little bit more freedom. We're not a business where we're, you know, you must say this at this point and you must, you know, just make it brilliant. You know, use your common sense, use your, you know, what would you love to happen at this point when, you know, someone's run out of the jacket potato filling that you might have wanted? How are you going to turn that around and make it an amazing experience rather than a disappointment? So that's really what we try to instill. You know, that's at the very basic level of what we do. It's at the heart of what we do. But then we are introducing, you know, much higher levels of programs now around service with our service excellence program, and it's brilliant. It gives some of our selected locations who really have to deliver and then some on their service because of the type of business that they're in. It's giving them an elevated experience and really taking them to the next level, not just with service standards, but with their own leadership, their own self-awareness. And it's a real journey for those individuals. We take them on a whole journey from A to B, and it's a 6 months program, and we're really proud of it. It does a brilliant job, and we're tweaking and making it better all the time, which is exciting.
I like the idea of that, almost, you know, service plus, but not just the service plus, but the idea of taking people and developing them on that journey as well. You know it's it just connects people, doesn't it? To go, you know, we really see something in these people that they can deliver beyond an exceptional service. And I mean, what's the next level to exceptional? I don't know. So we need to find a new superlative. You know, it's like, what is that?
Phenomenal service. The phenomenal service program. Maybe that's the next level.
I like the idea of, you know, just developing the people around that. So there's almost like, oh God, this is where we could go with this. This is, you know, and taking someone who's quite new to hospitality along a journey that they can reflect on years later and go, this was amazing.
Yeah, and we really want it to be industry leading. And as a result of that, we work with amazing people to do it. You know, we work with our director of restaurants, Alex Fazoli, who's incredible. You know, his contacts in the catering world are amazing, in the hospitality world. So, you know, he brings a different slant and a real value to what we do. Sean and my team leads that program. He's brilliant at it, you know, again. But it's just, you know, I love the fact that it keeps evolving. So it's not just a one and done.
Well and done.
It has, you know, we started and then we tweaked and played with it a little bit. And then he comes back to me and says, oh, I've had a great idea to do something that's just really going to take it to another level. And it's like, okay, tell me. And if we think it's going to add value and it will work, then off we go. And that's really fantastic to be able to have that flexibility. I'm sure it will never be done. We will always be striving to make it better and improve it. And actually, that's how I feel about everything that we do in the Allen team here. It's never done. And
I don't think it should be, should it?
No.
And that's a combination of, you know, being really curious about what's going on, what other industries are doing and learning from those, what other businesses in the same industry are doing, what's the new expectation of the client. I think that's being really curious, but also just having a passion to go, I don't just want to deliver exceptional, I want to deliver phenomenal, whatever it is, and being really bold. I mean, I recall actually at one point in my career when someone said, right, our aspiration is to be world class, and sitting there going, oh God, how do we be, you know? And now I'm in this place to go, Jesus, why wouldn't we want to be world class? What does world class look like? And, how do we get to there? And that, there's a mind shift change to go, yes, I definitely want to be really bold in that aspiration, because if you set that standard to be really bold, then other people will start getting around you to go, yeah, we also want to be like that. Now, it's not going to be easy, but as long as we're in it together to try and make that difference.
Definitely. I think that's partly what I love. But what is really important for me with the team is that we try to seat what we build on in really good, solid foundations.
Yeah.
So I am not a fan of sticking plaster solutions. So when I talk about making it better and it evolving and what have you, that's great. But what we don't want to do is to keep going back and reinventing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Those need to be, when we start
that feels
a
like
process.
a fad then, doesn't it?
Yeah. And actually, there's a real bit for me of holding your nerve with things and going again with communication. Businesses are too quick to say, well, that just didn't land, it didn't work. No, we just didn't communicate it well.
Yeah.
And actually, we didn't communicate it enough.
Or we didn't
go
engage.
again.
We didn't
And
connect.
again.
Yeah.
And again. Yeah, absolutely. You need to keep on and be tenacious with these things. So really want to make sure that anything that we create going forwards, most importantly, that we've identified the root cause of the problem.
Yeah.
And that's where the consultancy element of L&D comes in for me. It's about asking those tough questions of, actually tell me what the problem is that you're trying to solve here. Why is it happening? Because quite often it isn't an L&D problem.
No.
And it's not me trying to, kind of shove everything out the door. Although sometimes that is the result, is actually we established it isn't anything to do with training or L&D. Actually, it might be a performance issue or it might be a process issue. So getting to the real nitty-gritty and the root of the problem when you start that process is very important. And then really looking at, okay, what are the really core foundations that we need to deliver here that are going to deliver that behavior or that skill? And then we can put the icing on the cake and make it amazing and fun and fabulous and engaging and just brilliant.
But the first thing's got to be right. We've got to understand. Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of, you've got to do the hard work before you can do the fun stuff.
Yeah. I think there's a real mixed bag in organisations, but the more people that I speak to, the more, L&D business partners, managers, head of L&D becoming more of the performance consultants and asking those, the challenging questions that are just saying, well, why do you think this is happening? What do you think the cause of it is? And asking more questions than just taking orders all the time. I think historically, that's what L&D has felt like. Oh, we've got a problem. We think we've got a problem with this. Can you put a course together? And L&D have gone, okay, yeah, we better do that because, that just keeps us busy and we can deliver it in the best way. Whereas the best conversations are the really curious driven ones that just go, why do you think that's happening? What other things are impacting that you think might be causing that challenge? So let's work together to see if we can find that out. And I mean, again, from experience, really sort of going in there with a naive mindset of going, just show me, just tell me. Can I ask a lot of questions of other people as well? And then we might get to the core of it. Once we've got that, then let's decide what the next step is rather than go straight to the end point that you think is, in our world, the amount of people that go, we need a piece of e-learning on X. And you go, okay. So, and like for us, from Mindboost, there's like a commercial conversation or there's, let's do the right thing first of all, that we want to make a real impact in your business. So is it the right thing to do? Or should we just challenge you and go, actually, you might have a problem that you can fix with a bit of more comms rather than a piece of e-learning.
Yeah. And that is, and obviously that's a big part of why we work with you, is because you constantly challenge us to, make sure that we're, creating the right content, that we're giving the right messages, it has the right feel. And we really like that about working with you and Mindboost.
I'm sure there's some sectors that wouldn't.
Well, I'm sure they would. But, ultimately, it challenges us to get a better solution and a better result.
And a more longer term solution.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And one that ultimately delivers a better experience for the end user because they go away with what they need. And I think too many projects start with too many cooks.
Yeah. And the knee-jerk
they all
reaction.
come with their own agenda. because they all want something
Yeah.
in that project.
Yeah.
They all want their messaging across. You know, the different business functions, they'll all come with their specific thing that they want on that table.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. We get to that stuff, but a really interesting and positive way to start those kinds of conversations is actually, I want you to kind of leave all that outside for right now. What I want to do is use your brains to find what is the thing we're trying to achieve here. What's the communal goal? What is it that as a business that we need to achieve? And then once we know that, then you can come to me with, you know, all your, those. I need this in here and I need to get that message across and what have you. That's all great. We can do that. But the core of that message needs to be really clean and clear, and everyone needs to be bought into it. Otherwise, you'll just constantly get those people who, you know,
no one connects with it then. And because what we find that there's commonality between those type of projects, and then when you ask a question, what do your team members think? And most people then at that point have gone, oh, we haven't asked them. Okay, well, maybe that's the next step as well, that you engage the wider community to go, we think this is broken. What are you feeling as well in your business? Because if it's the right thing, most people will turn around and go, yeah, that we're feeling that pain as well. So we think it's a good idea.
Definitely. And I think, you know, just getting that kind of connectivity, you know, and getting those connections across both, you know, both internal and external, because, you know, I mean, as a business, you're very generous at sharing your expertise with people. And I think we are too. You know, if I look at some of the things that, you know, I know we joke, and I know you had Lindsay on doing this a little while ago, but, you know, we joke that every single external provider that works with us and comes to do anything with Lindsay, you know, comes away with a bit of an education around equity, diversity and inclusion, because she's amazing at what she does. And she's just really generous at sharing that and giving the really honest feedback, which people really value and go away, and it makes them better at what they do. It's that constant challenge that's
nobody minds that, do they? As long as that information is going to be taken, you know, it's going to be appreciated. And because, you know, most people will give all day, won't they? As long as that information is received right. And, you know, then at some point, you know, it's going to be reciprocated, you know, but yeah, I just think if you've got information, it's not in your interest just to keep it. I think that's quite an old-fashioned thing. It's like, well, share, just make, you know, if you've got a purpose to make, you know, to help businesses, to make, you know, for us, make better e-learning, get rid of, you know, crappy click next e-learning, then it doesn't matter how that happens across the world, you know, just share the information.
Well, it doesn't fit with the world and the way we communicate anymore, does it? If you keep it all, you know, all close to your chest, you know, you can Google or, you know, find anything. Last night I was Googling how to, you know, to take a particular type of chair apart and cover the seat, because I've just bought something that I really love that's kind of vintage. And actually I need to do a bit of refurbing with it. So actually there is generosity in that kind of knowledge from just about everything now. Why should learning be any different?
Quite. Well, they do say YouTube is the world's largest LMS.
Well, it's true. It's absolutely true. There isn't a lot short of, you know, I don't know, perhaps brain surgery that
anything
that you could
on
learn,
there you can find.
You could learn how to do.
I know.
Well, you could probably even learn to do that, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not sure I'd let anyone practice, but
you might not know about it.
That's worrying, isn't it? I'm not sure that's definitely not a path for me.
No, maybe you ought to put a disclaimer at the end of this. Yeah, please don't
absolutely.
try.
Don't try this at home, kids.
I like that. Yeah. So I asked you another question before. What do you think your superpower is?
My superpower. Do you know what?
You're not allowed to say I haven't got one, because Lindsay said that, and she said no, it's on a postcard.
Lindsay's brimming over with superpowers. I genuinely think empathy is my superpower, and it's one that I've grown into. I think it's the ability to trust my judgment in spaces where it maybe bucks from the norm or the policy or the process or whatever, and just doing the right thing for me is really important. People knowing that they can come to me, the team in particular, knowing that they come to me and talk to me about absolutely anything, and the response will be, okay, tell me about it. Let's see what we can do to make that work. That there's always an art of the possible, I suppose, and that there is as little judgment as I can possibly manage to face into those kind of things, because we all judge. Anyone who says it doesn't, it's not true. We all judge, but trying to keep an open mind and approach every conversation I have, particularly with the team about personal things and things that might be impacting them, with genuine curiosity and the desire to understand and make things work. And actually, the more I've settled into that side of me, the more I feel confident being overt about it in business. It's something that I'd always been told to keep a bit of a lid on. And also that people have mistaken for me being soft, which I'm absolutely not. And anyone who works with me knows that I don't have to dig very deep for my edges when I need them, but I prefer them to be in a very controlled way. And I think the empathy side of things, research is telling us now that the top leaders in world businesses, in the empathy is in that top 3% of skills. And yet for a lot of my career as a woman, I've been told to
I think that they're outdated. They're outdated models, though, aren't they? To go, this is how you should behave, and the amount of conversations I'm having from people that are either managers, team leaders, and even MDs going, I think this is how I need to behave, but they're trying to behave in an old-fashioned model that's not authentic to themselves, and going, I need to ditch that because that's not me. Me is being this caring, appreciative person. And I think you're right. The trade-off is, if not everybody is on that page, so how do you manage the naysayers around you that go, I'm not sure that's the right approach? Because traditionally, it's no different from, bringing your kids up. You've either got this traditional, give them a smack and, be done with it, discipline down the line, start understanding, start observing what's going on and start connecting better. My question is, how do you manage those naysayers that go, I think it's a bit soft?
I guess one of the first things is look at my turnover and look at my net promoter scores and my evaluations and my engagement survey results, first of all, because quite often when I've taken over teams in other businesses, you can see a visible shift between a leader that perhaps led with less empathy and less understanding, and then where you see it perhaps 12 months later and there's a huge difference. So I think that is a silencer in itself.
Well, I would ask the team, how do you feel on a Sunday night, Monday morning?
Absolutely, it's that Sunday night scenario, isn't it? And and I that's a great point. And maybe I need to ask them that, because I'm I'm confident that they're happy working with me and working as a team. But actually, maybe I should just be really overt and brave and ask them and say, and I'm very open to feedback. And one of the things that I sat the team down and said when I took over the team here was, the one thing I can be 100% sure of sitting here with you all now is that I don't have all the answers and never will. And actually, I'm really comfortable with telling you that. But that's why I have all of you, because you're all amazing. You've all got different skills. You've all got different things. And actually, the only other sure thing is that I will make mistakes. I will cock it up from time to time. And when I do, what will be really important to me and really valued is that you feel confident enough to come and say to me, do you know what, Hannah, when you handled that conversation with me last week, it didn't work for me. Actually, what would work for me next time is you doing this, this and this. And I think that takes time and trust and, and certainly, I suppose, confidence. So, if you're going to ask people to do that, when they do, you have to be prepared to take it on the chin,
of course,
and react in the right way. Otherwise, you don't create those conditions of safety for them to do that. And that's important. It makes me better at what I do, and it makes the team happier. But that's the same for me with suppliers. It's kind of just who I am. There is a bit of me with the empathy stuff that what you see is what you get.
I just like to create an environment where your team, so the answers to those, how do you feel on a Sunday night, Monday morning, but also, do you think I've got your back? And then you would ask the same of your team as well, to go, yeah, whether you do it overtly or whether you sit there and go, yeah, these guys have got my back. That's how I would sort of measure people. But that it's based on a conversation and creating a trusting environment. And once you've started doing that, you then have more open dialogue to go, this isn't working, this is working. And, you always sort of catastrophize things in business to go, yeah, but what about the people that are going to take the mickey? They really lean into that soft touch, as you say. But, I think if the other people have got your back, then they end up managing, the people that are not sort of thinking that way as well.
They do, because actually when you've got a team that are working together and really, collaborative, if there is one person who is, like you said, taking the mickey, first of all, I think as a leader who leads with empathy, you already know, and you pick your battles about how you have those conversations and when. And the team, you often don't have to manage an individual in a team, because the team will start to do it for you, because they will see, actually, you're not, you're not in this boat with us.
No, that's not right. No,
that's not right. That's not values we have here. And they'll start to challenge that for you. So actually, there's, if you really get it right, the difficult conversations you have to have actually are very few and far between.
Yeah, you're right.
But again, it's about, even when you have to have those tough conversations, it's about doing it in a respectful way. And, and most importantly, I think, before you start anything like that with a tough conversation, seeking to understand what's behind the behaviour.
Yes.
I'm really getting to, tell me what's going on for you with this. This is what I'm observing. Tell me what's sitting underneath some of that stuff. I really want to understand, so that we can make this right. And starting with that, rather than, I've been observing this happening.
This
and,
is the way.
This is the action that I'm taking as a result. Whoa, back the truck up. Let's just start to see if we can understand what's. Because 9 times out of 10, there's quite a good reason for somebody behaving, out of character, or or not being focused. Often it's something personal that they're just carrying with them, and enabling them to offload that, and know that there's support there is really important. We talk a lot, and businesses talk a lot about mental health support and what have you, and it should just be what we do. And I think that's quite a natural thing for me with leading with empathy. It is just in my DNA. I think
it's just asking those questions as well, isn't it? And not, as you say, not assuming, and managing the judging that, as you say, is in everybody. It's just like, how do I go into this with an open mind to ask the more curious questions to find out what's going on. And then actually, if you handle that right, you then start building an advocate of people around you, because they go, I can go down with anything, I know that I can have a chat.
But they also start to replicate that with their own teams. So when they feel that they're in an environment that works for them, and they will start to create that environment for the teams that report to them. And then you start to develop more of a culture, and and it takes time, and it's not, trust has to be earned and built. And
definitely. It's easy
not
to break
suddenly
as well.
just have it. But it's not. I think the mistake that people make, that once something has damaged a bit of trust or has been difficult, that they just write it off. Whereas my sort of, I suppose, my ethos with that is actually the opposite, is to run head into it and almost have do you know what, this is not right. Or this has not gone well. Tell me where I've gone wrong here. Help me understand how I could have made this.
I really want to make this the outcome.
I want to make this right. How can we get to that place? And I think that is something that people quite often are afraid to do. And again, it comes back to that whole thing of, it's a weakness to admit you've made a mistake or you got it wrong or whatever. I don't see that at all. I see that as a real strength.
I think that's, if you genuinely care about people and you care about the people in your team, then that's why you will have those conversations, however challenging they are, because you've got that person's, best intentions at heart. And if you genuinely have, rather than, fueling your own agenda, then you'll have those conversations, because they won't actually feel like a challenge throughout it. Or it might be that pep talk to go, oh God, I've done this wrong. most time, I mean, if that was your best mate, you just pick the phone up and go, God, I'm so sorry. What did I do? I didn't even realise.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember somebody ringing me, and when I was the equivalent of an area manager in another business, and saying to me, "Oh, you're going to go nuts. I've had to throw away, kind of 5 catering packs of bacon. We didn't rotate the stock properly." And, and it was like, they'd clearly been massively head up about it and worrying about it all night. And they'd rung me at sort of, 8 o'clock the next morning, clearly desperate to get this conversation out of the way. And my response was, "Did we kill anyone?" And they were like, "No."
Did you do it on purpose?
Then it's all fixable. Yeah, exactly. Did you do it deliberately? No. Then it's all fixable.
Yeah, we can manage it.
It's a little bit of perspective. And, my ethos in that role was, it's coffee and cake.
Yeah.
No one died.
Hey, I'm very conscious of the time that we could ramble on all day, but if thank you so much for the conversation. I've really enjoyed just our chat. And if people want to connect with you or find out what you're up to, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn. Absolutely. LinkedIn. I'm Hannah Carter on LinkedIn. We're BaxterStorey. You can find me through that way. Yeah, that's just the easiest way to connect with me. And, we are really keen to, kind of share our knowledge and collaborate with people, and, and particularly with other people in, the same roles as us and what have you. It really helps to have that that external kind of connection with people, where it's just having that network of people you can ring up and go, "Oh God, what did you do about this?"
Yeah. How did you solve it?
Scratching my head.
Yeah.
So, and being okay to not have the answers. I don't have them all, but I've got some. So I'm happy to share what we do know.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I've loved the time.
This has been Mindboost Moments. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to hear more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. And if you want to learn how Mindboost can really add feeling and emotion to learning experiences within your business, check out our website at mindboostlearning.com.